Stevie Nicol is joining me, and that's all she wrote, Stevie. Finally, the end of an unprecedented, crazy Premier League season where it felt like so many things went down to the very last day that we have just seen. Let's start off with Manchester United, shall we, Stevie? Third place secured for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his men. Probably one of the better finishes since Sir Alex Ferguson left. And you know that says a lot, albeit 15 points behind Manchester City in second. But how big of an achievement is this third place for this Manchester United squad?
It depends how you look at it. Listen, Manchester United should never be outside the top four, let's be honest. But they were in such a horrendous position. Certainly at the beginning of the season, it looked extremely unlikely. So you have to give all the credit. Certainly the signing of Bruno Fernandes 100% is the catalyst for this resurrection of this team that looked dead and buried, getting into the Europa League, never mind the Champions League, but a fantastic run. And you have to say they've deserved to be in the top four, the way they've certainly played just before the pandemic and after it. So, and I'm not surprised. I have to admit, going into this game, I really didn't see how Leicester were going to hurt United. You know, just a simple fact of match winners. A depleted Leicester backline, depleted in the middle with no Maddison going forward. Really, Vardy was the only hope. Where United, you know, ever since that run has started, I've had match winners left, right, and centre. Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. You look at Pogba, and as I already mentioned, Bruno Fernandes. So I wasn't surprised at the outcome of this game in any way, shape, or form.
Well, good start that you brought up of Bruno Fernandes, because United, I believe, have been unbeaten since he arrived in January. It's no shock exactly what he's added to the squad and how he has helped it. But you speak about the win against Leicester City today. It wasn't the prettiest win. There are still obviously a lot of problems at Manchester United. And we're talking about competing in the Champions League next season. And in comparison to the other teams that are there and have been used to being there and not dipping in and out like United, how much more do they need to actually compete and not just go out in the group stages?
Well, listen, I think they need a bigger and better squad. But I think you have to say that it's one step at a time. And what they did today is exactly the opposite of what was happening to United over the last 2 or 3 seasons. They were either really good and won comfortably, or when things got tough or were a little tight, then they would fall at the last hurdle. This United side, the last 2 or 3 games, they have not been at their best at all, but they've got results, and so that's part and parcel of winning titles. You know, you don't always win when you're at your very best, or should I say, you don't lose when you're at your worst. That's the key. You don't lose, and United have got in that rhythm now. Yes, the FA Cup was a little bit of a blip. But it was half a side. But United look now as though they're in a position where they can be average and still pick up victories.
Well, touching on that FA Cup, I, of course, was there, and that was where Chelsea and Frank Lampard dumped United out of it, now on their way to the final. Chelsea also got their job done with a top 4 and Champions League spot secured. How big is this for this team that a lot of questions were asked about them? A young team, a young manager in Frank Lampard. So how big of an achievement is this? And probably what's impressed you the most about this Chelsea under Lampard?
Well, I don't think you can not be impressed by the way they go forward and try and create and score goals. They're always good to watch. The problems have been defensively. And listen, at the start of the season, I know I didn't give Frank or Chelsea a chance of getting to the top 4 because he's a rookie manager. They went out to dabble in the transfer market. They had just got rid of their best player in Eden Hazard, so everything was against them getting in the top 4. So to get in the top 4, absolutely, is a huge success, and I think Frank's shown throughout the season, and he certainly made a statement today. You know, the biggest game of the season without a shadow of a doubt. And he drops the record signing goalkeeper and plays Caballero, who's an average Premier League goalkeeper. I think that's a big statement. It worked. It was a clean sheet, and so all things are looking good for Frank and Chelsea.
Is Chelsea probably one of your top sides to look out for to chase maybe Liverpool or Manchester City next season for the title?
If they do something about their defence, if they if they continue to just look at forward players, which it seems they are, you know, they got people like Werner coming in as Ajax from Ajax, but they need a huge job revitalising that defence, which under the likes of John Terry and Carvalho was just impregnable. That is not the case, and they won't challenge for a title until they sort the back line out.
Europa League spots now. Leicester do get 5th, and Jose Mourinho and Spurs get 6th. I can't tell you the last time I saw Jose Mourinho celebrating a 6th place finish like he did today. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. But given the way things were looking for Spurs at one point as well, I suppose that's an achievement in and of itself. How do you think these two clubs will be feeling?
An achievement. Tottenham Hotspur, about 12 months ago, give or take a few weeks, were in the Champions League final, and you want to laud them with success about scraping into the Europa League.
But they got rid of their manager, had to bring Jose in as well.
No, not having it. Listen, when you go from the Champions League to the Europa League in 12 months and barely making it in, I don't think that's any sort of a time for celebrating. It's a time for figuring out why and how to fix it.
And then as for Leicester, now we know that they were right up there as well, in one of the top 3 positions, whether it was either second at one point, third. They looked like they could stay there, but now, of course, after the lockdown, only 2 wins in their final 9 matches. But is 5th more where you probably would see Leicester comfortably?
Yeah, they were disappointed considering the position they were in at one stage. They were sitting comfortable. I think they were 15 points, as he said, clear of the 5th spot. But they, you know, we've seen that a team that has to withstand the whole season at a certain level has to have a heavy squad and a good squad. And when they had their first 11 on the field, they could cope with anything that was thrown at them. But, you know, suspensions, injuries, all of those things caught up with them. They end up playing with a depleted back line. They're playing some kids. And of course, you're losing your real playmaker in Madison as well. So, all things considered, they would have taken a Europa League spot before the ball was kicked. But yeah, there'll be some reflection that it was a little disappointing considering how far ahead of the rest.